I'm killing these fools on the yard. I know I'm making $300-400 every day, Saturday and Sunday, man, betting these games, man. Damn, somebody done bet $50 on one parlay ticket? Hell yeah, I take that bet. Damn, these fools done hit 7 out of the first 7 games, man. If I lose this parlay, man, I got to pay out $2,500. Ain't no way they gonna go 10 for 10. Ain't no way. Oh my God, if Dallas covers these 2 points, I am cooked. I could not believe these referees cheated me like that. I just lost $2,500. Hey man, hey, tell them I'm sick right now, man. Tell them I'll be out in a couple days, man. I'm sick right now. Yo, once again, it's on back at you one more again. Real Ken's TV in the house like kitchen sinks. You know, I was sitting here and I was reading this book, and it's actually titled "Who is Fleece Johnson?" Featuring Fleece Johnson, of course, and Lee John Mucker, aka Big Lee. Now, you want to purchase this book? You can go on Amazon. They have it, and you can also go to Hustle Spirit 502. If you're familiar, you know, with their YouTube channel, what have you, and they have a link up, and it'll take you directly to the book. Now, I just completed chapter 13 of the book. Chapter 13 is a real deep chapter. Actually, every chapter is pretty deep. But the thing about it is, and you know what? Let me take that back. I just completed chapter 7 of the book. I'm sorry. And I completed chapter 7 because I read the book for a second time. And it talks about being in debt in prison. And it really took me back. The thing about prison, for you all that don't know, you never been to prison, that's a great thing. Because there's no honor, there's no badges, there's no stars, stripes, rewards for going to prison. When you get into debt in prison, that is probably one of the worst things, if not the worst things that you can do. You got cardinal sins in prison. You don't want to get in debt. You don't want to mess with anybody's boyfriend. You definitely don't want to steal from anybody. You know, just loaning people stuff can be problematic just as well, because oftentimes you have trouble getting it back depending on who you are. And you definitely don't rat on nobody. You know what I mean? Those are, you know, the cardinal sins in prison. Maybe a couple more, but those are the ones that came to my mind, the top of my head. So upon reading chapter 7, there is a message. Y'all sit back, y'all chill, y'all relax with me, okay? You know I don't tell the 12 and 13, 15-minute stories. They say Real Kens, we like the stories that are 30 minutes or better. So guess what? Real Kens is going to bring you the stories that are 30 minutes or better. Now, in prison, there's all type of hustles. You know, you'll often hear people talk about how you need money in prison, and you do. It's just like the streets. Well, Real Kens, I don't know about that. I mean, they feed you, they clothe you, they, you know, lights and, you know, electric, air, everything they pay for, cable TV. Yeah, and they do provide those things. But however, you still need money for the simple fact that they feed you like an animal. You get very small portions. So they're only required to feed you so many calories per day. And I don't remember exactly what it is, but just know that whatever the salary, calorie rather, I said the salary, whatever the calorie count is, they're hovering right around the minimum. So what they'll do is they'll say, okay, this meal has to be 1,200 calories. I'll just throw that out there. Well, you'll get a big tray of rice. They'll give you a piece of cornbread. They'll give you some beans. And let's just say it's lacking 100 calories, 150, 200 calories. They'll put a scoop of butter on your tray. You see what I'm saying? And that will make it, you know, the 2,000 or the 1,200 calories that they're required to serve you per meal. Now, like I said, the number that I just used is an example. But those are the type of military mind games, as Dante from the Dante Show Network would say. Those are the type of military mind games that they play in prison. Shout out to Dante just as well. So it's like if you don't have any money coming in, man, you're going to starve to death. You're going to starve in prison. So you need that money. So if you got people in prison, loved ones or whatever, people that you know, friends, and you can look, I know it's hard out here in life. Life is tough right now. You get a couple extra dollars, man, shoot them something, man, because they really, really need it. So as I mentioned, there's all type of hustles in prison. You got your loan sharks, which is basically you're a store man. You need a pack of cigarettes, I need 2 back. You need 2 packs, I need 3 back. You need 5 packs, I need 8 back. You got your essentially your prison bookie, which he's called the ticket man. He's booking all the games. That's big in prison, man, because you do anything that you can possibly do in prison to pass your time. And if you're a sports fan, there's nothing better than not only watching sports, but sweating. That's what they call it, sweating your tickets in. You know what I mean? You done bet a ticket on, the game or what have you. And, it just adds a little more interest, a little more intrigue to the game, if you will. If you move in the pack, if you got the bag, if you got cigarettes, because now, they took the cigarettes out of the prison, but they're still coming in. So anything like that, you can't just be a regular individual. You got to be somebody that's well respected, somebody that's, people are not going to try. And if they do try you, guess what? There's going to be consequences that come behind them trying you. So like I said, man, I read chapter 7 again, and it talked about being in debt in prison. Took me all the way back to the ticket man that I'm speaking of in this particular story. Now, this ticket man, I really don't want to say his name. Sometimes I use people's real name. Sometimes I don't. But this ticket man has passed away since. So, R.I.P. to the ticket man. But everybody knew him. Everybody on the yard knew him. Now, somebody jumped in my comments the other day and said, "Hey, Real Kens, how come every time you describe somebody's height, you say they were 5'11"? I thought that was real funny. But this ticket man was about 5'11". I'm just joking. He was about 6'3", probably 260, 270. Black dude, dark-skinned dude. Had a big beard. And he actually had a bald head. And he was pretty respected on the yard, We just gonna call him, and I want to say his real name because I know all the people from Kentucky that's been in the prison system, they know exactly who he is. But I don't want to call him by his real name, so we just gonna call him Big X. It's close to his real name, but we just gonna call him Big X. Big X was a laid-back dude. I just described how he looked. So when you look at Big X, you would figure that when he talked, he would have, a deep voice. "Yeah, man, what's up, man? You know what I'm saying? Call me Big X, man. I'm the ticket man." But it was anything but that. I just told a story a couple days ago about the notorious booty bandit Rufus in prison. If you haven't seen that, go check it out. I just told it a couple days ago. Big Rufus, man, was a big intimidating dude, and their voices were very, very similar. So like I said, man, you get to talking to Big X. "Hey, how you doing, Big X, man? I heard you was a ticket man." I'm just saying, man, yeah, I place all the tickets, man, but you got to pay your debts, man. I don't play no games. I don't play no road. You know what I'm saying? You got to, that's how he get excited, man. But he was real, real cool. He was laid back. So Big X, man, would kill the yard on the tickets. When I say kill the yards, I'm talking about his money was so long that he can book any bet. And he was a store guy. So the longer that you've been with Big X as far as going to the store and doing business with him, the more business, to say the least, that he was going to do with you. So initially, you can't go to Big X and be like, "Yo, Big X, I need 10 packs of cigarettes." But once you work your way up, it's kind of like your credit limit, your reliability or whatever. Well, once you did that, Big X is going to loan it to you. Because he know he going to get it back. He got goons. When I say he got goons, he got runners. He got people that's going to go collect for him. And they on his payroll. Yeah, all this is how it works in prison. Instead of paper money, it's commissary. And there are other elements too how to get paid in prison, but I'm going to tell you that as the story unfolds. So, like I said, man, Big X, man, was a cool dude, laid back dude, never had any trouble. He had so many people on his payroll. See, in prison, you can only have so much in your locker. You know, you can only spend $125 a week. So you may have $300 worth of items in your locker, but if you do, guess what? You better have them receipts. Because when them COs come and they shake you down, everything that you can't account for, they're taking it and they're going to write you up for unauthorized property. Big X already knew the game. He'd been in prison a couple times, so he was already seasoned. He would have this individual in the dorm keep maybe $50, $60 in their box or in their locker. This person, you know, keep $50, $60 or whatever. So he had his money spread out. But at the time, as I mentioned, cigarettes was the key thing on the yard. And he would have cartons. I believe it's 10 packs of cigarettes in a carton. So he would have cartons of cigarettes back then. And typically that's what people wanted when they wanted to gamble, pay their laundry man, as somebody that does your laundry for you every month. He gonna bleach your clothes, fold your clothes, make sure everything's cool. You're a barber, or if you got long hair, you're getting your hair twisted, whatever the case may be. When you had to pay somebody, 9 times out of 10, you was gonna pay them either in cigarettes or stamps. Those are the two main things on the yard. As far as that, and they were easy to transport. You can't take a big ass bag of chips to somebody. You got 3 or 4 bags, because the yard dogs will catch you. Yard dogs is the officers is on the yard when you walk in the yard, whatever. Hey, you, come here. Put your hands up. Turn around. Pat you down. Oh, what you doing with 10 packs of tuna on you? Give me your ID. It's a write-up. So, it's a whole lot of things that go on in prison that people that have never been to prison don't quite know of. Big X, as I mentioned, killed the yard. I'm talking about, it seemed like he won your biggest days is Saturdays and Sundays. College football on Saturdays, NFL on Sundays. And, of course, you got Monday Night Football on Mondays. Back then, they didn't have Thursday Night Football. So, he's killing it. He never has no problem. He got his runners going to collect the tickets, the parlay tickets. And now the parlay ticket is, you can bet on a minimum of 3 games. If you want to bet on 3 games, those 3 teams that you pick, they got to cover the spread. So you can bet 4 teams, you can bet 5 teams, you can bet 6 teams, you can bet however many. Big X didn't really have no limit. He had so much bread. He was considered penitentiary rich. Never went to the chow hall. He never had to go to the chow hall. He had so much food, man, so every night he's eating whatever he wants to eat. Same way we eat out here on the streets, he's eating like that in there for the most part, whatever they sold. You got patties, hamburger patties, you got chicken patties, you got Polish sausages, you got just whatever. Jack Mac, tuna, salmon, whatever that he decided that he wanted to eat. And sometimes he would have people cook for him. If he didn't feel like cooking, man, hey man, you whip this up, man, and we can share the meal. So he really had handlers around him. But like I said, he was a cool, laid back dude. I grew up with Big X. Like literally, we grew up in the same hood, we grew up with each other. And anything that I needed, if I was ever short, man, I ain't never have to borrow it. It was, here you go, man. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, his mother used to watch me when we were little kids. She used to babysit like in the neighborhood, and she literally used to watch me. So I used to go over there every day after school until I got a little bit older, and then my mom was just like, I could stay in the house by myself. So we was always, cool. But I didn't get in Big X's mix. I didn't get in his business because his business was his business. One particular Sunday, Big X took a bet that I'm sure that he would later regret. He took a parlay bet. They wanted a 10-team parlay, which means all 10 teams would have to cover the spread. Whether it's win or whether it's lose, they have to cover that spread. A 10-team parlay in prison was going to pay you about 50 to 1. 50 to 1 odds. He took the bet. Then you got some people that'll take a 10-team parlay, but okay, maybe for $2, $4, something like that. It didn't matter with Big X. Whatever the amount that you was bringing to him, he was going to take it. And he had done it several times, so I guess he felt as though ain't nobody going to ever hit a 10-team parlay. Hell, it's hard to pick one team. It's definitely hard to pick two teams. It's hard to pick 3, 4, 5 teams. But 10 teams? That's virtually impossible. Although I have seen it done. I've seen it done on the streets, actually, but it's slim to none that it's going to happen. They come to Big X. It's 5 of them. But see, they don't come directly to Big X. He has handlers. He has runners. So, as I mentioned, if you want a ticket, the runner gives you the ticket. You give the runner the commissary. They bring it back to Big X. Everything's accounted for. Every dime, every dollar. He takes the bet. There's 5 of them, as I mentioned. I guess they all go in $10 a piece, or however they, busted it down, dispersed it, or what have you. They bet $50. 10-team parlay, they bet $50. Big X is looking at that like, oh man, this is easy money, man. This is easy money. As I said, he's busting the yard up every single week. Every once in a while, he's paying out. There's always going to be some people that win or what have you, but for the most part, man, he's just collecting. He's sitting back just laughing. He don't got to do nothing. And on your larger bets, because like I said, he would take larger bets, you can only have so much commissary. Back then, they had what's called the green dot card. So you get your girl, hey, man, get you a green dot card, $4 or $5 at Walgreens or Walmart, add some money on there, and you could transfer the money from your green dot card to Big X's green dot card. And oftentimes in prison, that's how the larger transactions are made. You want a cell phone, you want to buy from somebody, and they charging you $500-$600, or really more for real. You in the drug game, whatever. You have your people send that money on the green dot card. Now I don't know exactly what's going on with that, because you got Cash App and so many other methods of instant funds being transferred. But back then it was a green dot. So say for instance, somebody owed Big X $200. He gets on the phone with his girl. They speak in code. He, of course, don't say those things over the phone, because everything you say on the phones in the Department of Corrections is being recorded. So, you all have your little code words or whatever. She tells you, yeah, baby, the Eagle just landed, or, something like that. And you'll know the initials. You'll know. She'll give you some clue of who it was. Okay, the money's on my account. Now you give him the action. That's just how it worked. So he was getting his money that way in certain circumstances or what have you. Also, he ran the poker games, too. I failed to mention that. So that's where he would get a lot of his money from. He ran the poker games. So you run up $100, $75, $80 in a poker game, he may not want commissary. If your people got a green dot, they send it to him directly. He takes that bet. $50 bet on a 10-team parlay. Sunday comes. Actually, it's already Sunday. I'm sorry. The first, I think in the NFL, you got your first probably 10 games maybe. They come on at 1 o'clock. Then you got 4 games, I believe, that come on at 4:30, 4:15, 4:30. Then you got a Sunday night game. And you got a Monday night game. However many games that they bet at 1 o'clock, they hit all of them. So let's just say they hit 7 out of the 7 games at the 1 o'clock, starting point. 4:15, 4:25 games come. They hit 1. So it's 8. The 8 o'clock, the 8:15 Sunday night game comes. They hit. It's 9. So they've hit 9 out of these 10 games. It came down to, and I specifically remember this, it came down to the Monday night game. It was the Dallas Cowboys, which is my team, and they were playing the Washington Redskins. Dallas was 4-point favorites. They're rivals. It's a division game. So anytime they play, and most likely, especially back then, because we talking nearly 20 years ago. So back then, it was always going to come down to, it's going to be a close game. The point spread wasn't going to be very large. For y'all that don't know anything about gambling, the point spread is, okay, if Dallas is the favorite, there's a certain amount of points that they're supposed to win by. So it's what's called a point spread. In this particular situation, Dallas was supposed to win by at least 4 points. That was a point spread. Monday Night Football. Dun, 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 dun. That was the theme song back then. It's not looking good for the fellas that bet this $50 10-team parlay. It's not looking good for them at all. For the simple fact that, actually, let me take that back. It's looking great for them. Dallas was up 13-0 with about 5 minutes left in the game. I don't even know if it was 5 minutes left. It was close to 5 minutes. So we'll just say 5 minutes. Dallas is up 13-0 with the ball. They're driving. They're driving down the field. Of course, they're trying to kill the clock. So they're just running the ball. They're in field goal range at this point. Kick a field goal, they go up 16 points. It's still 2 scores, but it's still going to be virtually impossible. By the time they kick a field goal, it's going to be probably less than 3 minutes or right around 3 minutes left in the game. That's pretty much going to seal the deal. They give the ball to the running back. He fumbles the ball. Washington gets on top of the ball. They recover it. They recover the ball. Like I said, it's this point is like 4 something left. 4:45 or something like that. Washington goes right up top. I'm talking about right up top. I don't even remember who the receiver was at this particular time. They score. 13-7. It's 13-7. By the time Dallas gets the ball back, because it wasn't like the first play. So when I say they go right up top, it was a couple plays that happened in between. So, maybe about a minute and a half went off the clock. They scored. It's 13-7. Still no reason to panic. No reason to be concerned. After all, the Cowboys, they got the ball. They're up. I believe Tony Romo's the quarterback at the time. One of the better quarterbacks in the game or what have you. So, everything is everything. Dallas gets the ball. They go 3 and out. When I say 3 and out, means they had 3 plays. They didn't get the first down. They end up having to punt the ball. Punt the ball back to Dallas. Back to Washington, rather. Washington gets the ball. They go 3 and out. They punt the ball back to Dallas. Now, all this is going on, but it's so fast, it's hard to explain. Like, when you throw the ball in football, the clock stops if you don't complete the pass or what have you. So, Washington punts the ball back to Dallas. Dallas gets the ball again. Lo and behold, they turn the ball over again. I believe Romo fumbles. It was a bad exchange between the center and the quarterback. They turned the ball over again. Washington has the ball. They got their timeouts. At this point, it's probably like a little over a minute left in the game. They're driving. They're on Dallas' side of the field. They driving the ball. You might feel a little nervous, but you're still thinking, man, they still got to score a touchdown. It's not like they just have to kick a field goal. They got to score a touchdown. Driving the ball, what have you. But they're killing the clock. The closer they get to Dallas' end zone, they're killing the clock just as well. Because if they score, they don't want to leave too much time left for Dallas to come back and just get in the field goal range, because Dallas would only be down at that point by 1 point. So a field goal would win the game for Dallas. So they don't want to give Dallas the ball back with too much time in the event that they score. I'll be doggone. They ended up scoring with it was very little time left in the game. Maybe 11 seconds, 10, 11 seconds. They score, it's a tie game. They go for the extra point, they kick it. Washington's up 14-13. Now, I'm not even really thinking about these ticket guys. I'm pissed because I'm a Dallas fan. But I can't get the ticket guys out of my head, because you hear people just jumping up, screaming and yelling and cussing the TV out. And, Romo, you's a bitch. You's a bitch, Dez Bryant. Just everybody that's on Dallas' team, man, they talking crazy. Because Dallas blowing that lead with 4 minutes and some change left would have cost them a lot of bread. A lot of bread. So they are absolutely just livid. Time goes on. They get the ball back. Dallas gets the ball back. They get a long kickoff return. I don't even know why they even kicked it to the dude. I don't even know why they would even kick the ball to this dude. They kicked it to him. He gets a long return. During the return, it's a penalty on Washington. So that added an additional 15 yards at the end of the play. At this point, it's only enough time for probably one play left in the whole game. Throw the ball. Pass interference. Pass interference with no time left on the clock. On Washington's, like, I don't know, 5-yard line or something like that. Oh, my God. It's crazy. It is crazy. Now, at this particular time, there's no time left on the clock. But the game cannot end on a penalty. Let me repeat that. The game cannot end on a penalty. I just realized something, and I can't rewind back that far, but I just realized something. That spread was not 4. It was a 1.5 point spread. I don't know where I got 4 at. It was a 1.5 point spread during that game, which meant Dallas had to win by 1.5. They were in Washington. I guess I'm thinking about the game when they played when they were in Dallas. It was a 4-point spread. It was a 1.5 point spread. Dallas is on Washington's 5-yard line. No time left on the clock. Only thing they need to do is kick a field goal. They're only down 1 point. They kick a field goal. They win by 2 points. They bring the field goal kicker in. Kick the field goal. They win the game. 2-point game. They win. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. You talking about people going crazy? I'm happy because my team won. It was a miracle finish. I don't even know how this even remotely even happened, but it did. The dudes that hit the 10-team parlay stood to pick up $2,500. The 10-team, well, it was nearly $2,500. The 10-team parlay paid almost 100 to 1. They bet. Actually, it paid 50 to 1. I'm sorry. And they bet $50 on the 10-team parlay. And that's kind of whack because on the streets, if you bet a 10-team parlay, it's definitely going to pay you more than 50 to 1. But you're in prison, and those are just the rules of prison. And, the ticket man makes his own, he sets his own price, his own rules. So it's paying 50 to 1. They bet $50 on it. That's $2,500 that they're going to collect from Ticketman, Big X. Oh, man, they going ham. They running around, they showing their tickets. Everybody's happy. Everybody's ecstatic. All except Big X. Big X wasn't hearing that. He wasn't happy about that whatsoever. Big X was in a different dorm. I was in the same dorm as a couple of the guys that, won the parlay. But I wasn't in the dorm with Big X. Next day, because it's a late game, so you're not going to get paid that night. Typically, the next day, you got your bread. Nobody seen Big X on the yard that day. Big X would come out, but a lot of times he would be in the dorm because, like I said, he ran the poker games. Now, in the summertime, he'd run the poker games on the yard, outside. But this was, in the fall, so the yard was shut down a little bit earlier. And it's cold outside in the fall. Where's Big X at? Nobody seen him. Nobody was really concerned because it's like, he always pays. Even though he's typically the one that's picking up the money, when he has lost, he's paid it. Tuesday comes. No Big X. Wednesday. Finally, they're able to speak to Big X. What's up, Big X, man? You know what I'm saying? Get that bread out of there, man. What's the bread? Hold on, man. I got you, man. I got you, man. I'm saying I can't really cover it right now, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to have your girl send it to your, your green dot or whatever, money order, whatever. Money's coming, man. I got you. You good. As I mentioned, they didn't really think too much of it. Next couple of days come. Big X still ain't really coming out on the yard like that. They bred that Big X, man. He ain't coming outside. He's sending his runners. He's sending his people. Man, he ain't feeling good, man. He got you, though, man. He say the money's on his way, man. The money's coming. The money's coming? Was it coming on a turtle? The money should have been here, man. Get that bread out. Now, they starting to get a little, perturbed. They're starting to get a little aggravated. Okay, we done been patient with you. This is prison now. Let's not get it twisted. Like, typically, there is no waiting period. There is no, you pay that money the next day. Really the same day, but if you're in a different dorm, or like I said, the yard is shut down or whatever, all right, cool. You can't do nothing about that. But then next day, you're going to get that money out. There's no Big X. Can't find him nowhere. Finally, an entire week goes past. He done told the dudes that the money would be on the green dot card, and some of it would arrive via money order. They ain't got nothing. They ain't heard nothing. Our Big X ain't gonna pay that money? All right. Well, we gonna ride. We gonna ride on Big X then. Come on, y'all. See, the thing about prison, man, they'll ride on you. Now, when I say they gonna ride on you, they don't care nothing about no cameras. They don't care nothing about Big X being in a different dorm. They don't care nothing about none of that stuff. Because a couple of the guys that, had put in on the parlay ticket or whatever, they were in the dorm with Big X. Just the other three weren't. Man, we going in. Put the mask on. Put the toboggans on. Now, Big X is obviously going to know who they are. But even though they don't care about the cameras, they still don't want to make it too obvious. But if they get caught, they get caught. They roll up in the dorm, man. They got the locks. They got the locks and the socks. You know what I mean? They got them locks and the socks, and they come to do damage. They go in the dorm. Think about when you go into the dorm, the officers, it's like there's so many people in the dorm, the officer can't see every single thing that goes on. Because typically it's only one or maybe two officers working an entire dorm. So he can't see every single thing that happens. They slide in the dorm. They roll up in his bay. There's bays within inside the dorm. So you might be in A bay or B bay. Let's just say Big X lived in A bay. They slide in A bay. They say Big X was on the toilet. I wasn't in the dorm. But they say Big X was, in the toilet, dropping a load. Dudes didn't care nothing about that. They rode on Big X. Beat him pretty bad, man. Beat him pretty bad. Took that lock and the sock. Hit him a couple times. Like I said, Big X was a big dude. He was a big dude, a swole dude. But he was always big. Even coming up, he was bigger than everybody else, man. And he used to be crazy because when we were little kids, a little side note, he was bigger than everybody else, but it was kind of like he was kind of scared of everybody. You know what I mean? I done seen people chase him home and things like that, but as he got older, he, that stopped. He choking people all the way out. He got some big old hands. He got some, big old forearms. He gonna choke you all the way out. They beat Big X, pretty bad on the toilet that day. But they didn't stomp him all the way out. Because they knew if they stomped him all the way out, they would never, ever get their money. Hell, odds are 9 times out of 10, after beating him like that, they still weren't going to get their money. So just imagine you on the toilet, and 5 dudes come in on you. A couple of them got locks and socks. They just drilling you, hitting you with the lock, sock, kicking you, whatever. They go to his locker, grab what he had in his locker, put it in their bags, took that out of the dorm. How they did that and didn't seem to get caught, I don't know how, but they did it. He had a lot of stuff in his locker. So they got a significant amount, but it was nowhere near $2,500. Everybody knew Big X was just gonna probably check in. That means tell the people you don't feel safe. You need to off his yard, man, immediately. Much to everybody's surprise, Big X didn't. He never checked in. He stayed in the dorm, healed up. Because as I mentioned, when you have money, you never really have to leave the dorm. Unless you got to go to medical or, something like that that requires you to leave the dorm. Other than that, you never really have to leave the dorm. I don't know how he was able to get past all them lumps and bumps on his face. I don't know how he explained that. But he didn't leave the yard. Dudes end up getting their money. Via Green Dot, money orders. And all was well. At the end of the day, Big X really understood, as mad as he was a businessman first. And he understood that, man, I kind of play these dudes a little bit. Because he's really lucky they ain't kill him. Unalive him. That's what we're supposed to say on YouTube if we're going to speak that way. He's really lucky that they didn't unalive him. Dudes don't play about no money, man, in prison. Now, this is a particular situation that was rare because it worked out. Big X stayed on the yard. He continued to do what he did. People still didn't try him. Because even though he's on the toilet and there's 5 of them, the reason they ain't just beat him is because Big X was throwing them things, man. He was fighting back. Naked and everything. He done stood up, man. You know what I'm saying? He done stood up. He don't got no boxers or nothing on. He don't got no shirt on. He was sitting on the toilet. So he's fighting back, but, it's 5 of them, and they caught him off guard, and it was very difficult. So he had respect on the yard. Probably a little bit more respect after that. Dudes got their bread. It was all good. He continued to do the tickets. He continued to do the poker games. He continued to do the store. He just didn't take bets that were nearly as large. $2,500. Now think about it. Just think if Big X didn't have anybody to send him that type of money. It just so happens to where he had been hustling in prison for so long, he had it. He just wasn't really trying to pay it. He wasn't trying to truck the dudes. But he wasn't trying to pay the 25 all at once. And it just so happens he got his issue, man. Dudes rode for him, man. Dudes came in the dorm and rode for Big X. Typically those type of, like I said, those happy endings, no pun intended, don't typically happen like that in prison, man. And people that's coming for you over that amount of money, man, they coming with them things, man. They coming with them bangers. Sword of Justice. What's Dante say from Dante Show Network? You know what I mean? They gonna push that blade on you. Penitentiary. Big X was lucky that day. He was real lucky. And like I said, man, Big X has since passed on. R.I.P. to Big X. I still see his sisters from time to time or what have you, social media, or every once in a while I run into them. And it's just a sad situation, man. But when you play with fire, the old saying, you play with fire, you get burned with fire. They say Big X was throwing them things, though, man. And it's crazy because I think about if I had been in the dorm, then what? That's my man's. Is the dude that I grew up with. And y'all jumping him. There's 5 of y'all jumping him. But then I think they had weapons. And Big X wasn't on the up and up because he owed them people. So who do I look like jumping in somebody else's business? They beat me to death for something that I don't even got nothing to do with. I'm just glad that I wasn't in that situation, man. Stay out of penitentiary, man. Stay out of jail. Stay out of the system. Just do the right thing simply because it's the right thing to do. It's easy to say, well, if I go to prison, man, I wouldn't involve myself in that sort of activity. It's easy to say, but you're bored. It's weekends. You love sports. Ain't nothing to do. NASCAR, whatever. They got anything that you can think of as far as sporting events, you can gamble on. Well, I just played me a little ticket. Or I just played me a couple hands of poker. Next thing you know, you all the way in, man. Now you done lost your money. You trying to get back. You hungry. You can't eat because you done lost all your commissary. Now you go to the store, man. Go to the store, man. And you owe him money. So when your money order comes, it's all the way, it's spent before you even get it. Real Kens TV, man. Hopefully, you like the video. Feel free to comment. Definitely share. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. And be sure to hit that post notification. Anytime I bring you this action and this heat, guess what? You're amongst the first to receive, man. R.I.P. Big X.